So Maya's open. This is the mannequin that I'm going to export out and get to you a little later. I've already cleaned this mannequin up. Okay, it's in a group. Okay, this little group right here, and then we see the actual mannequin there. So I don't have a female mannequin or anything right now. If I need to get you that, I'll get you that. No. My only concern with this I think this is an older mannequin. I have one where the arms are down at the side. And I think that'll be the one that I'll try to give you. So, I'm gonna do something right quick. I'm gonna separate out and remove the arms. So give me just a second, everyone. Let me do that. Let me take the arms off. It's crazy. Okay, where's my button that says separate? Combine. Let's take all of these. Let's combine them back. And I'm going to put them in a layer. So we get something like that. Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's combine this one back again. So every time I do this, it's going to drop them out of a layer, out of the actual material. I'm sorry, the group there. So I have that one and that one. Man. You don't have to do this. I'll get you the correct one later. Let's put you, my mouse click, drag you back in there. And then let me freeze the transforms. And let's delete my history. This is my personal shelf here. So if you remember deleting history, freezing transforms from one of the videos that I showed you, I believe it was last week, that's basically what's happening here. Okay, now if you look here, you see that this grid is wrong. What this pretty much means is if I come in here and I want to create a mesh, if I want to create a mesh here, just to be pretty clear here, I'm going to go to create polygon primitive, create a cube. Look how small that cube is. Reason why that cube is set up this way is because this is Maya is in centimeters right now. If I go into the preferences, and remember you can go to Windows Settings Preferences to get here, and if I hit Settings, I'll see it right there. Okay, if I was working for some visual effect shot, I may switch this over to meters. When I do that, see the grid size change. This is in meters. So this is pretty much correct right there. That's pretty much correct scale for a 6-foot size human in meters. Each meter, 1 meter is 3.226 feet. So if you imagine a box, now let me create a new box here, just so you can see it. Create polygon primitive cube. See the difference? Every time you adjust the grid scale, the grid units, the actual boxes, the assets that you bring in, they will adjust themselves also. So on average, this is that's 3 feet. That's a 3-foot size box. So he's close. So some of you that says 5'8", yeah, it's about 5'8" right there. But we measure off about 6 feet. Okay. That might be 5'8", 5'9", I don't know. So I'm gonna switch this thing back. Preferences, settings. Let's take it back down to centimeters, and that's going to drop down. Now, we don't make a change to the unit scale. To be honest with you, we don't make the grid changes here. That's not where we do this. If you look up here, you're going to see that little grid right there. If you right click on the grid, there's a grid option. When you click the grid option, boom, this is where we're going to make these changes. So when you are modeling in Unreal, for assets for Unreal, please make sure you keep this in mind and you do this. So right now, I'm going to change the length and the width to 1,000. And I'm going to change and make an adjustment to the grid lines to about 10. We're going to leave this one at 1 just to see what we get here and apply it. That should look similar to the grid scale inside of Unreal. Okay. Now the only drawback is he's still pretty big. There's a measuring ruler inside of Maya, but just to keep this as simple as I absolutely can, here's what I'm going to do. The way you want to do this is you want to create a box, polygon primitive cube. So we're going to create a box. I'm going to frame in on that box. There's a script out there, and if anyone is interested in this script, let me see if I can get you this script of what I'm about to do. It is called Rest on Ground, if I'm not mistaken. That's the name of the script. So I'm going to run the script real quick. I have a shortcut for it. Oh, not right there. Let's click. And let's see if it ran that script. No, it did not. I'll get you the script. I got to see if I can find that script. And what that script is doing, I know where to find the script. I am going to go into the hotkey editor. So under preferences, settings, there's a hotkey editor. And the script that I'm looking for, and I put in a shortcut or a hotkey, is mine is set to Shift R. So I'm going to give you this script right now if I can. So, or Snap to Ground is the name of the script. So we want to find and see the actual script. Run code. There it is. I didn't create it. This guy did. He's a very good artist. This is his script. I'm going to copy this out and I'm going to put this script inside of the chat. Snap to Ground. I think this is a mail. I couldn't tell if it was mail or Python. I think it was a mail script. Okay, give me a second, make sure. The reason why I'm giving you this script, I'm mentioning this script here, is because sometimes you want to snap, and let me show you what I mean by that. Instead of, let's take this and let's undo it. Instead of you having to go here and try to do this type of thing here, there's two options that you have. You have to move the pivot point to a different location, which if I press the insert key and I can try to snap to here, and all I have to do to snap once I press the insert key or the D key for you is both. I can click here and it'll snap that. See that? It'll put that right there. But that's the problem. It's going to go local. Or I have to try to move this down here like that. Okay? And then I can press insert to get out. And then if I hold down the X key, X is this is where you're going to find the snapping options. So X, C, V, X, C, V. So X is to snap to the grid. So by being snapping to my grid, this is where I'm going to put that. But if I use that script, it'll automatically place the object on the ground plane for me. Okay, so you want to copy that script out, and all you need to do if you want to use that script, say you want to use that script and put it in a special location, okay, I can come in here, create a new, click that little, and what I'm doing here is going down to the bottom right hand corner, opening up the script editor. You don't have to know how to code right now, and what's happening down the road, you're going to learn this stuff, a little bit of. I'm going to click the little plus, I'm going to say mail, and then I'm just going to copy and paste that script in. Now I can select the whole script like that, and if I need to, I can middle mouse click, drag it right there. That's all I need to do. Let's check to see if it actually works. So let's take this one and undo and click it. See, it works. And then you can assign that script to a shortcut if you want to do that. So if you do something like this, if you find a custom script and you add that script and you put your cursor over it, shows you what the script is, please make sure that you go up to and hit the sprocket. Do this every single time you do stuff like this. And go down to save all shells, because if you don't, when you close Maya and you reopen it, that script won't be there. Okay? I know that's long-winded. I'm sorry about that, but I just needed to see it. Now, what I need to do is, because there is a measuring tool here inside of Maya, I just can't remember where it is. It's in here somewhere. This is why I use shortcuts, and this is why I put stuff in specific places. Modify. I think it is under modify. I'll look for it. I can't find it right off. Display. Yeah, I'll find it, and I'll mention it, and if I can find that little script. See, now I'm just in the weeds looking for the daggone thing. It is in here somewhere. Where are you? Not a line. I can't find it. I'll look for it. And what that tool is going to do is it's going to allow me to put a what's called a null down. Two nulls. A null is N-U-L-L. This is a term that we use in 3D. It means nothing. N-U-L-L means nothing, so it's not going to render. All a null is a locator. It's going to put a locator here. It's going to put and you can put a second locator, and wherever you stretch the second locator, it'll give you a measurement. Okay, I need to really find that so I can show you that thing. So give me a minute. Let's go ahead. Let me show you this first way, this alternate way first. We're going to take that. I'm going to go here, and let's freeze my transform. So remember, modify, freeze transformations. So I'm going to freeze the transforms. That's going to lock everything out. See that it resets everything. And now I'm going to go to scale on the y-axis, and I'm going to put in 180. See that? That's the height. That's the unit scale height. So everything that we have here should be based off of that. So technically this model is correct. That's the correct scale. So that's 180 centimeters. So an Unreal will be 180 meter. I'm sorry, 180 units is what we're going to get there. So if you can't find the measuring tool, just do that. Okay. And especially do this if you don't have access to, say, the mannequin. So you lose the mannequin and you need to figure out how tall something is. That's what you want to do there. Okay. So all right. So let me go in here and build a few things. Okay. So say for example, and I probably should open up. I'm going to open up PureRef, and I'm going to go over to Pinterest. I'll get it on the screen in just a second. Okay. So where's my PureRef? Where's PureRef? PureRef. I'll save. No, ask me. Discard. Ask me later. Here's my PureRef. Does everyone know about? Oh, we have an assignment in here where you are using PureRef, right? So you already know what PureRef is. Okay, cool. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm off screen. I'm going to put this thing and leave it off screen. And I'm just going to drag stuff over. So say in that list calls for what? It calls for something like an oven, a refrigerator. So say, yeah, I'm working on a kitchen. So oven. So I'm going to look for an oven. Sorry, we couldn't find your pin for this. You can't find an oven? Oh, there we go. There are different types of ovens. So I'm going to drag and drop this in. Pretty big. So we have an oven. Give me some other stuff that goes in there. Fridge. Refrigerator. Refridge. It's not refridge, it's just refrigerator, right? Yeah, okay. Something is up with the internet today. This is crazy. Does anyone else? Do you have? Open up Pinterest and see if you're able. Because I mean, dang, are we getting cyber attacked? This is crazy. You said a sink. Oh my God, it goes in and out. A sink. And what type of sink? Like those country style sinks. Cabinets. Kitchen. Kitchen cabinets. This is crazy. Kitchen cabinets. Unique style of kitchen cabinet. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'm just gonna drag a few of these in. kitchen cabinet. What else do we have here? A table. Dinner table. I have this round one, beveled edges, and let's pick a different one. Oh my God, the internet just keeps going in and out. Questions while I'm looking for this stuff. You guys are awfully quiet. You stay quiet. Don't do that. Speak up. This is something we should be having fun on. I'll tell you one thing that you can do here. When you're designing these things, think about your dream home. If you had to design your own dream home, I'm not going to look for more of these tables. Table chairs. FYI, I am over here on this screen looking for anyone that is interested in what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm just looking for some models or some reference images here. All this stuff is, there we go. Let's take that. What else am I looking for? You mentioned an island. Okay, yeah, there's a, oh, come on, hurry up. Okay, here. And let's go and get the walls in. So let's see. Yeah, windows too. I'll get that in just a second. But let's go ahead and think about the instead of walls, we'll just do, like you said, windows. No, backsplash and all that stuff is not needed right now. Those are the things that we want to block this thing out. You're not going, that's going a little bit too much in detail. So we'll think about that a little later. Or you can think about that. So we're still in the block out phase. So windows there. What other type of windows? I don't know if we have some sort of arch window. Similar, but do you want to and let's go ahead and put doors in. I'm gonna put a few doors in here. Come on. Catch up. I'm gonna be specific. This is crazy. It's taking a long time. What else do we have? I don't want the video. That's a video. That'll work. Drink my coffee. Yeah, things like trash cans and stuff like that, you can add a little later, but I'll find one. And then we'll go ahead and work from here. So, yep. One little bitty trash can off it on the side. All right, so I have enough. So, let's get started with some walls. Okay, let's put this over here on the side. Yeah, I'll come back in a little. Tell you what, let's place this down here. If you select everything and press Control O, it'll basically crop out. Control O, Control Oscar. It'll crop out the document so I can get in a little tighter in certain areas. So let's take this out. Let's create a cube here. And I'm going to use my, let's see if my cube pops up. Yep, pops up correctly. And Shift R. And now, the average height of a wall, it depends. Some of you, if you're living in an apartment, you probably have either 8-foot ceilings or 9-foot ceilings. If you're in a house, you either have, just depends on the house, and if they skimped on things, 8-foot in case ceilings, and also from the floor to the ceiling is about 8 feet. On average, sometimes the ceiling height is going to be about 9 feet. Okay, if you're lucky, you're going to have 9-foot ceilings. If you're on the top floor of an apartment, you're going to have 13-foot ceilings. Okay, if you have a lot of money and for a house, you're going to have 13-foot ceilings. Just depends. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go in. I'm going to select the face here, and I'm going to pull it out. I really do need to find that measuring tool. Now, you want to build this thing in certain ways where some of your walls are going to be really long. Some of them are going to be pretty short, or as far as width is concerned. So I'm going to take this, and I also want to, when I measure this thing out, I'm going to bring it down and hopefully try to assume and try to get to, say, whatever in centimeters. Somebody go online, look for a converter from inches to centimeters. Let me just do that too. Inches to centimeters. Okay, something like this is wrong one. This is a conversion, so inches to centimeters here. So if I need 6 inches, that's what I need to put in there as far as the width for centimeters there. Now, the only drawback to doing this type of thing is it's going to be that unit scale, and you see this is technically not correct. So I'm not even looking for 6 inches. I'm looking for, it has to be about 4 inch in centimeters there. Okay, so let me do this. Let's delete here. Let's go back and create it again. I'm going to create a regular cube there, and see here, that's the difference. Now, my cube that I brought in is set to meters. This
It's
is
not showing.
I'm sorry, my cube that I brought in was set to meters. So when I click here, this is a meter size cube. That's not correct. That cube right there is the correct one. That's the correct cube. Okay, so if I want to now play around with the width of this wall here, what is that, 10.16? That should be about 4 inches. Okay, like that. And the height of in inches, so let's change this over to feet. I'm back over here. I'm going to change this over to feet, and I want a 9-foot ceiling. That's what I need to put in there as the height. So I'm going to put in 274, 32. There it is. That's a 9-foot right there. Now it's relative depending on the width, so you'll probably have to sort of play around with that. And what I'm going to do in this case is right click here, go to faces, my face mode, select my face, press the W key, and just pull this out. I don't know how long that is, and I really should look for that measuring tool. So let me do that right quick. I'm going to pause this. There it is. So if you're looking for that tool, create, measure, tools, distance tool. That's what you're looking for. Put it on the shelf somewhere. I already have it here on my shelf. So I'm going to click that tool, and what it's going to do is when I go from here, make sure I have it selected there. See, put a locator there to here. There it is. So now I'm going to snap this. I want to snap this to the correct location. So if I hold down the V key, I technically should snap here, and then still holding V, it should snap there. That's how you use that measuring tool. If I want to check the height of this character here, I can put one here, and I can try to snap one up here. I don't think it's going to allow me to do it. There it is. I can put one there, and then I just need to go out and find the tool, the pivot or the locator, and I'm going to move that locator in and up and over and try to get that measured out the best I can. It's better to try it with a box. See it? And you see that number right there? I don't know if you all can see the number. Let's move it over here. There it is right there. See it? So this tool is a very handy tool. So the width, I don't know how long we need to make that wall there. So what you may want to do, take your measuring tape, go into if you're talking about a kitchen, most kitchens, just depends, 15-foot wall, 20-foot wall. So we'll say about 15 foot. So I'm going to go back over to the dimension over here and put in a 15-foot. That's the number that I need to place in here, 470. Let's copy that. So this distance here, and now I'm just guessing when I probably should have done this in a totally different way. There's the original locator. So we're looking for what, 457, right around it. Doesn't have to be exact. 457, I'm gonna say there. Okay, I'm close. Select the face, bring it over. Here's my first wall, blank, plain wall. Okay, you're gonna have a whole scene full of these things. So let's take this wall, let's go back down. I'm gonna go to object mode and I'm gonna shift it back here. Now look at where the pivot point is. Say for example, your pivot point is in a different place. I'm gonna center this pivot and I'm gonna put it there. So you created a wall and your pivot is in this location. We need to move that pivot point. So I'm gonna press, you either can press the D key, but in my case, I'm used to using the insert key, so I'm gonna tap insert. I'm gonna put my cursor right here, hold down the V key, V for Victor, and I'm gonna drag that right there to that pivot point. Okay, so when I come off, this is my pivot location. See that information right here? I need to zero out that information. That's your modify, freeze, transform again. I already have a button set up for that. So I'm going to freeze that transform, but this is where my pivot is going to go. And let's rename this. So we can call this like regular blank wall. Blank wall 01. Okay. Select that. We have history there, so we want to delete our history. That is located under edit, delete by type, history. Okay, I have a button set up for that, so select the item and delete that history right there. Now, just to be on the safe side, let's go ahead. Let me show you how to export this out. Okay, real quick. So I can, we're going to open up Unreal and get it over into Unreal. So I'm going to go to File. And you want to save this out as an FBX, which stands for Film Box. Why do I delete my history? Because if you don't delete history, is all of that information is going to go over and be embedded itself. You always want to delete your history from any asset that you're going to be sending to other 3D packages. Okay? That stuff there will attach itself to the model if you don't do that. So I'm going to export as an FBX. Now, there's a game exporter here that should help, but I find that this thing here is a little buggy. So what I'm going to do is select you can do, if you have multiple walls, multiple objects in here at the exact same time. For example, one other thing I definitely need to talk about is collision, and we're not going to create collision over here. That becomes another problem. We may get into that next week. And I'm jumping the gun here. This should be coming next week. But I need to go ahead. I want to show you the unit scale just so it goes over. So we'll get back into this next week again. So I'm going to go to File, Export Selection. Let my hard drive spin up. have a lot of them. My project backup. Let's see if I have an Unreal folder or Maya. I do have a Maya projects. I am in the wrong. No, I'm not. Personal Maya, and you all should set up your stuff like this also. So you want to start setting your stuff up by project. And I never showed you how to create a project. I need to show you all how to do that. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and say class demo. I have a lot of different stuff in here. So Unreal meshes. I'll put it in there, and I will create a folder. Where's my folder? Create new folder, FBX. And you can call it FBX to Unreal if we want to do that. FBX to Unreal. Open that up. A blank wall. Oh, one. There we go. FBX. Save. You're going to get this little pop-up window. This pop-up window is everything that is embedded that comes with the FBX. Now, if you had cameras, lights, cameras, animations, these are plotted animations, meaning on the timeline, when I showed you out last week how to play around with the timeline, it'll bake each key into every single frame that you have set up. That's what that basically means there. So we're not gonna animate on this wall. This is the geometry. Another thing, we want to export over what's called smoothing groups, but because this is just a proxy, we don't need to deal with that. When you if you take my 3D modeling class or something like that, I cover this in detail when I show you how to prep your models for games. And we can also triangulate the model, which we don't have to do it. Unreal will do it, but technically before you export, if you just want to be on the safe side and all, I always tell students to triangulate. Now, here's the deal about triangulation. Let me show you this. I'm going to duplicate this model. I'm just holding the shift key down and dragging off. If you press Control T, it'll triangulate the model. That's the shortcut key, Control Tango. Okay, this is the model that we should technically be sending over. Yeah, I will get you the mannequin. Okay. And that's the standard. I'll get you that mannequin a little later. So we have a quad. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 polygons are quadded versus. Let me turn on wireframe on shade so you can see that better. Versus we have tris. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Gaming assets are going to be triangulated. If you can export out your geometry and send it over to Unreal as a quad. Unreal is going to automatically triangulate it for you. That's fine, but there's pros and cons to this. The pro is it'll do it. The con is if there's a problem and you need to spin your edges. So sometimes you have to select an edge and you have to spin your edge. There's an option in here to flip or spin. See here, you can spin forward or backwards. So I can go here and spin that edge. And this really is prevalent on more complicated meshes where you want to get it'll look smoother. Because you may get artifacts, and what that means is when you see the material that you put on it, if it doesn't look right, it's because one, something called surface normals are not correct, and two, you may need to spin your edge. Okay, so it's totally up to you which one you want to use. Be careful with Unreal because Unreal may triangulate that thing that doesn't look good. Okay, so I'm able now to come in and send that over and like that. So now we have this thing and all we have to do is just come in and export and it'll put it in that folder. Let me do the exact same thing here to this one. So now we have two different walls. And let's take this wall and make it a little bit shorter. So we got something like that. Let me export it. Pivot point. Now, one thing that I need to mention, I'm going to take this mannequin and move it off to the side. And one thing that is really important that I did not do and I should have done. I'll tell you what, let's just remove that. You need to place all of these things. You don't 100% have to. I like to do it. They should be placed here at the center. At the origin. So I'm going to move, hold down the X key, and I'm going to drag this right there. And see, I'm going to freeze my transforms again, and I'm going to delete my history. Okay, so now this is where it needs to be. File, export selection. that wall, we'll call this shorty. Okay, and I'm gonna save and export. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this here just so you can see what happens. Let's go open up Unreal right quick. Let's get that going. Any questions while we are running through this? Does it seem easy? Should be pretty easy. Just building off shapes. Speak up. You guys got mics. You can talk.
Sorry, I joined late, but is this to like scale and build off different shapes? Is this like a separate plugin for Unreal, or is this built into Unreal?
What do you mean? The FBX is built is standard throughout all 3D packages.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, the scaling issue. Yeah, you missed. You'll have to go back and watch the video. The video I cover how to change the grid scale, and I'm discussing building and getting assets out. Now we're gonna go into more detail again next week on the getting the assets over and all. But I just want to run a test so you can see it. Oh yeah, Ola did say we should be using for this class Unreal 5.5. I'm gonna use 4. What I have right now just for this. For next week, I'll probably switch over to 5.5. Anyone else? Question. No questions. Also, I may require work in progress for the week. So let's see here. Project location. Let's create a new project here. Where is this going? Unreal Projects 20. Yep. Let's build a new one. And what am I doing here? This is not where I want to put this thing. I'll tell you what, let me just open it up here and then create a new project. Let me pause. Okay. Okay, so we have that. File, new level. Let's go blank. Cool. Now let's test this thing. So I'm going to look for that folder. I'm gonna open up a separate folder here, and that is in my projects, personal, Maya projects, class demo, and Unreal Meshes. I think I need to shorten that. All right, so here this is the folder FBX to Unreal. So what I need to do here, this is going to be placed somewhere inside of my content browser. And again, we'll go into more detail next week. So in here, I'm going to create a folder and call that folder assets. Okay, you can call it whatever you want inside of this folder. Only thing I need to do here is drag and drop these two in like that. Fail. What's going on? Okay, something's going on. Okay, it's not taking one of these for some reason. So this is going to pop up. This is basically giving you information about your model. We don't have collision, so there's missing collision. We'll have to build that later, and we'll talk about that next week. And all I need to do is just say import. Okay. So it took the small wall, not the long. So the other wall was, this is the wall that was pretty much triangulated. So when I drag it in and bring it in, there we go. We see that right there. I'm going to go back over real quick and grab the mannequin. File, export selection. And let's put Manny in here. There's an FBX. Export. Let's go back over to Unreal. And let's go and find and take Manny. Drop them in, see, and import. Yep. And drop them in here. So you see that? But his pivot is in the wrong place. Why is pivot in the wrong place? Because I didn't center him on, I didn't move his pivot, and I didn't center him on the axis, 0 axis. So, but I can hold the, I have to, which one is it? What did she say? Middle mouse click. Alt middle mouse click to move this. And I'm just guessing right now, and I don't want to have to do that. So technically over in Maya, what you want to do here, and look at where the pivot point location is located for this character here. The pivot needs to be 1, he needs to be centered here. 2, I need to move the pivot location down to the bottom. I need to snap it down to the grid. So what I'm going to do in this case is 0 him out. I'm going to take him and I need to snap him to 0. So I'm going to hold down the X key and snap him all the way over there. And then I'm going to press the insert key and snap his pivot, hold down the X key again and drag that down to there. And press insert to get out. And then let's check him one more time. We don't have anything on him. File, export selection. Manny. And say replace. Export back over inside of Unreal. I should be able to right click here, and there used to be an option to refresh. I don't see it here, so I'm going to take him out. You force delete, and his mannequin, the mannequin here, force delete, and let's drag and drop him back in. See what happens. Import. And drag him in. So you see where the pivot is located. So the pivot point is located in the correct place right now. And that's how that works. So we know that we can get the models in. Don't worry about the material. The material here, what it's doing is bringing over the material, the default material that was created inside of Maya. We can always change this out and all, and then that is coming in a few weeks. Okay. So the only thing that you need to be concentrating on this week, and let's get back to it, is building off. Let's take him and let's put him in its own layer. Turn him off. Is building off of what we have here. Now, since this model here, let's take that one, let's put it in a layer and turn it off. This is the one that I want to build everything off of. So I'm going to move this, hold down the B key for, no, the X key, and let's snap that to the right there. Okay. Now, I'm going to duplicate this wall, holding down the shift key. Let's pull it forward. I'm going to duplicate that wall, and then I'm going to modify. So say, for example, the window. We want to get a window in here of some sort. I'm going to show you a few different ways of doing this. One of the easier ways is going to be just to divide this thing up into different cuts and move some stuff in, but I'm going to introduce you to a technique called booleans. And I'm going to duplicate this wall again. This time I'm going to center my pivot. And to center your pivot, modify center pivot. It's right there. I'm going to scale this down. This is, so what I'm going to do here is, this is my wall, this is going to be my cutter. And it could be, I can give it thickness, it doesn't really matter what you do here. You see how we got that little arc right there? So I'm going to select my edge here, select the edge there, and I'm going to perform a bevel, Control B. So see, I can come in and I can bevel this thing out like that. And remember, I showed you this last week, or a few weeks ago, whenever. Bevel offset, if I hold down the right mouse button, I am in offset mode, which basically means I'm holding down the middle mouse button to complete the offset. If I hold down the right mouse button, I can add segments, and I can do stuff like this. So I can give it that slight little offset bevel like that. Let's go in and let's make that wider. It doesn't have to be exact, because to build something like this, it's going to be a totally different method. I just want to play a little bit and just get something in here. Okay, add a little bit more. Okay, let's go to object mode, and I'm going to cut a hole. Now the problem is this. We know I don't know where to place this window. I don't know the distance from the top to the bottom. This is a 9-foot window, so technically we should have a foot of space from the top to the top of the framing. But look how tall. Now let's open up our mannequin again. Let's take the mannequin. Let's pull him forward. Let's measure this stuff out. The top, normally the cabinets are going to come up to about waist high. And again, that's when you want to do going to do some research on how tall these things are. So the window, in this case, I believe the window is a little bit too big. So I'm going to take it and bring it up to about there. Maybe about there. Okay. Now, don't use NURBS. I don't know what this, when you create the object wall, are you adding? No, we're not adding NURBS. We're going to leave it as polygons. These are in games, we create everything through polygons. You can create NURBS, but you have to convert those NURBS over to polys. In this case, we're not going to do that. We're going to leave everything polygonal. Okay. This is my cutter. Okay. So I want to cut a hole in there. Now, the Boolean operation, let me go find it. It should be under mesh Boolean. I'm going to cut it off right here. So tear this thing off. So I can't remember the order of operation. There's a difference between A and B. This is what we're going to be using here, the difference between A and B. So I want to say let's select the cutter first and then select the object we want to cut and then go in here and do that. See what it does. So it's wrong. So we have to select the wall and then select the cutter, Boolean, and cut into it. Now, you do have the option of going the opposite way. It's just totally up to you. A union is going to put all those two parts together. So this is what I'm using right there. Now, we still see it. See the cutter there? This is live. It's a live Boolean. So wherever I move that, it's going to place that right there. You may have a wall that has an offset like this. You may have a wall that has a window offset like that, or you can put it in the center. Do our best to put that thing in the center like that. Now, to delete this or to remove that, all I need to do is select the mesh, delete history, and now it's gone. See it? My advice to you would be to do this. Let me back it all the way up. Duplicate your cutter. Select the cutter, shift click to drag it off so you can always get back to it. Okay. Select the mesh, delete the history. So you're not having to rebuild this thing, and then you can change it up a little bit if you need to do that. So now we have another wall. Let's shift this wall back here. Let's take the wall again and let's repeat this with something else. Let's put a door in here, which should be pretty simple. Now, I'm going to use what I already have built. I'm going to clone this. And since my pivot is there, I'm going to basically figure out the width of this thing. And I'm going to eyeball it just for the sake of time. I'm going to put it about here. I'm looking at my character. So his span should be about 2 feet. That door is still pretty wide. Okay, what did I do? Give me a second here. I lost my controls. Go back to object mode. There we go. So I'm gonna just scale that in a little bit. So that should be somewhere right around there. And then I want to scale it down. So again, 9-foot ceiling. So that's gonna be 8 feet. And if he's 6, and just to be on the safe side, do this. Switch over to your front view. If you need to switch over to your front view, remember what I showed you. If you tap the space bar, you can just go into the view that you want. Front should be here. So if I come in here and tap the space bar, I am now in front view. Press the F key to frame up, and here it is. I'm going to click the wireframe on shade so we can see everything, and then there's my door. So this is about the height. 9-foot ceiling, 9, 8 right there. So 7 still need to give me, I need a little bit more height right about there. Okay, so if this is 6, this is 6.5, and then you got the framing, so still a little bit, maybe right about there. Okay, now I'm going to switch back over to perspective, tap the space bar, come here to this window, tap the space bar, now I'm back. Here's my door. Make sure you label these things if you need to. So if we need to come in and name these things here, so I have a wall, and then I have a door. So right there. Door cutter. Now we haven't even framed out and built the framing for this thing. That's something that we can do later. But this is just my cutter. What I'm going to do again is make this a little bit wider. Now we need to think about where the door is going to go. Okay, let's duplicate the cutter, shift and clone it, put it right over here. Take this, and some doors are not always center. We're going to put one here, and then we'll duplicate this and put one in the middle, and then put one on a different end. So again, this is modular. You grab what you need. And now later, let me tell you about modular when creating these things. Down the road, I could create a packet for Unreal and sell this stuff for people. I can have a whole bunch of walls, ceilings, doors, like 25 different variations of things, and I can sell that stuff. Okay, and I mean, do stuff like that. You never know. I mean, you can pay off your college, tuition and all that good jazz. So I'm going to cut. I need to cut through that floor. So I'm going to select this face, drag that down like that. Okay. And I'm going to, let's take this one here, delete it. Let's go back over here, shift and clone it. So I have that one. And repeat. Select the wall, select the cutter, the door, and cut. Delete my history, and I can also, let's select this one again and freeze my transforms. Go back over to my channel box, make sure I don't have history, but I'm going to delete history and freeze transforms anyway, just to be on the safe side. So I have that. Push it back, repeat. Take the cutter this time, let's put it on this side. Now you could easily just take this, flip it, you understand, and you have it. And I tell you what, let's just do that. So let's clone this one. Now let's flip it. So I'm gonna go to rotate. I'm gonna hold down the shift key. No, I'm not gonna hold down the shift key because it's going to pretty much, if you hold shift, it's going to clone that thing. I think it has to be is it the V key? No, that's not snapping, or is it the X key? It's neither one of those. Or I could come up here, see the rotation here, rotation 180. Like that. The pivot is in the wrong place this time. So I need to move the pivot point. Insert, hold down the V key, snap that right to that corner. V for Victor. Snap it to that corner. Press the insert to get out, and I'm going to snap that to the center right here. Hold down the X key and snap it right there. Just like that, and then freeze my transforms, and then delete any history I have on it. So now I have it over there. See how that works? And then the next thing we want to do is actually, we can come in and make a door. So let's clone this one. Let's press F to frame up. And the width of a door, again, find your measurement tools and sort of figure that out. This pivot is in the wrong place. This time I need to actually rest this on the ground plane. Okay. And I don't need to do anything special. If I have an arch of some sort, then I can clone this out, come back over here, because some doors inside, depending on the style of the door, say Tudor homes, Tudor homes may have arch-like doors. So I'm going to select these two edges there, Control B again, and then I can play around with changing the shape of that door, like that. Okay. In this case here, doorknobs, Keep it simple, as simple as you absolutely can get it. Let's create a polygon and a cylinder, which is going to place it right there. Let's drag it over. Let's bring it up. So doorknobs are normally, I think, waist high. Yeah, they're about waist high. Scale it up just a little bit. And I'm going to rotate. This time holding down the, what's the key? My snapping is not working. There's a button that you, see, I added animations or keyframes. I don't want that. I'm going to right click here and break. Select them all and break, select it. Come on. Yeah, let me select it again. Break connection is what I need. I need to break the connection for the animation. There's an option in here that when you rotate, you can snap. When instead of me having to come in and put in a value, and when I rotate this out, I can snap it. And I have to find that because my keys are not working right now. So I'm gonna go 90, like that. Frame up on it. Scale it in. Let's freeze transforms and delete the history. Okay, and on the back side, I want to create that little that stem, that tubing that comes off. So what I can do here is select. What's the easiest way of showing you? Because there's multiple ways of doing this. I'm going to select all the polygons here. If I hold down the tab key, I can paint this. This is called raycasting. Okay. Now I'm going to hold down the shift key to extrude this in, and I'm extruding, just making a new set of polygons there. If I hold down, go press W and hold down the shift key, I can extrude this back like that. Simple. Okay, doesn't have to look perfect, but that knob is big. And bring it back and put it in position. Waist high, maybe about there. This is all we need. Later, when you go in and you're creating more advanced looking assets, you have something to start from these proxies. And the only thing you need to do now is just add all that extra detail. Let's increase the scale up a little bit. Okay. Select this one, select that one, and combine. I need to combine that. Select this one, select that one, and if you to combine, you're gonna find combine under mesh, combine. So it'll combine them into one group. Move the pivot, insert, or press D. I'm gonna snap that. Hold down the V for Victor. Snap it right here, not here, right there. Same thing over here. Let's get off of this, select U, insert, hold down the V key. Now, I don't want to put the pivot here. I need to put it on the back side. So this is going to be the hinge of where how that door is going to swing. Now, you definitely are going to want to duplicate this door and spin it so you can have it on the opposite side also. Let's put it right there, and then let's replace this one. So let's make sure, okay, what's happening? Insert V. What's going on? And W. Yeah, it's in the right place. All right, I don't know why that one's there. Insert V to snap, W to get out. They're in the correct place. See, this one has history. This one has history. Select them both, delete history. And let's go ahead and freeze the transforms and make sure that didn't move. Yeah. So we have the doors, 2 different doors there. So move those, put them off someplace, and continue just to keep doing that. So things like trash cans, we can build trash cans. You can build multiple looking trash cans. So we can start playing around with things like the refrigerator. Is this making sense to you all? You all get it?
Yes, sir.
Do not, in
Yes.
any circumstance, I'm gonna say this again. Do not, under any circumstance, go out and find assets. Here's why: they tag those things, and I will know that you're using them. They do tag them. Okay, like metadata tag, they will tag these things. Build this stuff, and please don't make me have to watch you create a video where you're recording this stuff. Okay, I don't want to have to do that. You need to know this process. You need to take the time to know this process. Here's another reason why this is important. You're not going to always find what you need out there in our world. You're just not. You need to know how to build what you need. You need to know how to modify. You need to know how to correct things. Even with this whole AI stuff that is out there, what some of these guys over that we met with 2 weeks ago, they said, and I'm gonna repeat this again, even if AI was a big amazing thing and everyone was using it, if you're depending on AI and an art supervisor comes in and say, hey, you need to modify this, you just can't go back to a prompt and think and hope that it's going to find it. They're going to give you specific instructions on how to modify that thing. You need to know the fundamentals of going in and modifying that particular model and how to do that. Okay, so spend the time to learn how to do this, to build what you need, because it's only going to get more complicated, more intricate, and if you know how to do this stuff, it's going to be, you'll save yourself a lot of time, and also you own it. You own it. Okay, so be real careful about what you're using out there, because a lot of people are using AI generated assets. They're taking assets from other studios. They're taking assets off the Unreal library. The problem is they're not reading these contracts. Some of these little contracts will say something like you cannot use for commercial use. They'll do that, and there are a lot of people using this stuff for commercial usage, and they're going to end up getting in trouble. So, just to be on the safe side, learn to build your own stuff. So do stuff like this. Take what you already have, modify it up. Say I want to shorten out this wall right quick, or this window. I can select those and I can do something a little bit different, just like that. And all I did was just drag these over, but it didn't capture everything. Be careful there. It didn't take everything on the other side. It doesn't look like it. So let's try that again. I'm selecting all the verts. So what's happening here? Can I move that? Yes. So now I have two walls with two windows. I want the window in the exact same place. Make sure I select everything. I know what's happening there. Give me a second. I need to make a change. I turned something on earlier. My camera-based selection is turned on. That is found under the modeling toolkit. It's my shortcut that I have turned on. I need to turn it off. So now when I drag anything inside of that little marquee selection, it'll take it all. Let's put one there. So my recommendation would be to group these things like this: windows, doors, walls with doors, walls without. So see how I'm copying that, and now I'm going to go in, hold down the right mouse button, go to vertex mode, and select all of these. Shift it over to the other side. Something like that. Show that one more time. Shift it back, because this time I may want to go to vertex, take this up, shift it up here. Something like that. So we're just building off our separate kits here. Isabel, not right now. Technically, yes, we can do that. So what she's asking is, does the door have to be slightly smaller? What we can do is, for the proxy side of things, right now, no. Later, if we need to, you can go in and remeasure this stuff and make your small adjustments. So if you need to do something like that, you see how tall that door is right there. That means we need to modify face mode, not vertex, face, just regular face. Select that and bring it down just a little bit. Yes. So you can do that if you need to, but in my opinion, don't rescale the door down. Just go into the wall, modify the wall just a little bit, like the interior side, the framing of the wall. Just modify it just a tad. Okay. But it's just gonna depend. Use this as a time opportunity for you all to start playing around in Maya. Okay. Before you get into the advanced classes. So same thing with these walls here. You have different size, different scale walls. Let's take you. Let's move you off. Different sizes. So that is going to be one of them. Let's clone this out. Rescale. We got something like that. They just come in different widths. It might look like a door, but I'm going to use this as a wall. Objects like, I think we got to take off objects like ceiling fans and stuff. I do have a kit where I will build off things like ceiling fans. I'll build off, we'll go ahead and get the sinks done and the cabinets. And the cabinets are just going to be nothing but a simple box. Cabinets and islands. Scale this up. Oh, wrong one. Supposed to be a cube. And I'm going to use the mannequin again to help me with this. So you want to look up how wide would a island be. It's waist high. Something like that. I think that's a little bit too tall. And you can even go to the extent of, I'm going to go to insert in an edge. If you open up your modeling toolkit, you do have access to multi-cut. And multi-cut, if you hold down the control key, you can put a edge loop here. So now I'm able to select this face here and shift it out. We'll get something like that. So say this is my island. You have different shapes of islands. Just find the best one that works for you. And the island here, in this case, because it is an island, it's not snapping to anything, I'm going to leave the pivot on the bottom. And then I may have multiple different shapes, multiple different islands and stuff like that. Okay. All right.